Hi, everyone. Today we have Adrienne on the show, and she is the queen of whiplash and car insurance. And we're going to get into that. Adrienne, for anyone who doesn't follow your awesome content online, tell them why they should be keeping up with you and what you have going on.
Hi, I'm Adrienne. I have my own business doing massage for about 8 years now, and my specialty is working with people who've been in car accidents. It started a little bit accidentally because I happened to end up in a clinic where they just did a lot of these cases, but also I happened to be in a few car accidents when I was younger, so I know whiplash firsthand. I love talking about whiplash and nervous system dysregulation that people struggle with after they've been in car accidents and how massage can really, really make a difference in their recovery. I've also been doing my own auto insurance billing for about 7 of the 8 years. But overall, it's been a good process, and I did a lot of trial and error in the beginning, so I put together a course trying to teach other people how to do it and how to not make the same mistakes that I did and how to navigate this big confusing system.
Yes. And there's so much that goes into this, of which I know nothing
Mhm.
about. But you said the word mistake. And I think we all kind of have a guilty pleasure for knowing what some of our biggest fuck ups were. What was one of your
Yeah.
biggest mistakes you learned? Well, let's do two of them. Let's do accepting insurance and working with this clientele. And then maybe if you wanted to indulge, the biggest mistake with creating your own course, because a lot of us, we are educators and we want to be educators, and it is a learning curve.
Mhm.
So I pulled up one of your posts from Facebook, and I did want to share it with people in case they haven't seen it. And a lot of our audience and a lot of people that may not be interested in being on Facebook, I think it's really fun to share as well. And I'm sure you're on Instagram too. So we'll definitely make sure to put all those links of where to find you. So I have your post pulled up, and it's a video about, hold on, I'll just read it. Have you ever heard massage is great for auto accident recovery, but could also make it worse? Here's three things to be mindful of that could make auto injuries worse. So I wanted to start off with this first and then dive into all the juicy stuff your class is about, because this is such a commonly asked questions. How do I start accepting insurance? Oh my God, my longtime client just got in a car accident. What do I do? I don't know how to work on this. Yeah, hopefully it's not too awkward you watching me watch a video of you. We'll give it a go. You'll go through what Gretchen went through the first time we did this. Okay, so here we go. Some great tips to get started.
Hey, massage therapists. If you had a client who was recently in a car accident, massage therapy is a great tool for whiplash recovery, but you also know massage could also potentially make things worse. Does this fine line make you nervous? It did for me once too. So here are 3 things that can make injuries worse when giving massage to somebody who was recently in an accident. 1, the pace of work. If someone was recently in an accident, their sympathetic nervous system is activated. Even if it's been a couple weeks, their body still could be stuck in fight or flight mode. If you work too fast on somebody in this state, it's going to keep that autonomic nervous system activated. Slowing down the pace of your work can help ease the client out of the sympathetic state and into the parasympathetic state where healing can take place. Number 2, length of session. If the accident was recent, working on a client for a full hour could be overkill. The tissues are really sensitive. Start with 30-minute sessions once, maybe twice a week with a few days in between. Excuse me. You can work up to the longer sessions as they go through the recovery process and their needs begin to change. And number 3, depth of pressure. Working too deep too fast can aggravate the injuries. Recent whiplash is going to be tender, and even light touch might feel like a lot. As time passes, the damaged fibers begin to regrow and repair themselves, and the tissue actually hardens off. That's when the opposite thing starts happening. They might be insensitive to lighter pressure, and the deeper pressure will feel good. But don't go there too fast, and watch for that line and ease your way over it.
So people commonly ask, does anyone accept insurance? How to get started? And before our call, you had mentioned how it's different to have VA insurance and to do, I assume you're working mostly with personal injury clients through attorneys, and that's probably where you get your most leads as opposed to the VA, which is completely different, different billing, all that stuff. How did you decide you wanted to just focus on that instead of going towards the VA as well?
So actually, I just bill auto insurance directly. I don't have to work with an attorney. But here, like a lot of people do work with attorneys because attorneys' fees will be covered by
Yeah.
PIP. So there's no fault states versus at fault states. And I'm in a no fault state, which encompasses 19 of them. So do you know the difference? with them?
It's starting to come back to me because when I first graduated school, I worked for a chiropractor and I would have to do those short 15 to 30-minute services, which I definitely wasn't getting paid right for.
Oh,
Look,
yeah.
but some of these terminology is starting to come back to me because they definitely were ambulance.
So no fault state, like everybody has on their auto insurance a certain amount of money that will cover injuries no matter who was at fault in the accident. And it'll also cover your passengers. If there's somebody in the other car that didn't have insurance, it just makes sure everybody who was involved in the accident gets covered. It covers massage, it covers chiropractic, physical therapy, acupuncture. Obviously, if you go to the hospital or the ER, that gets covered in it. At fault states have an option of something called MedPay. Sorry, I just got a message. I just want to close that window. They have something called MedPay. It's not as common because it's not required, so not as many people opt for it, whereas a lot of no-fault states require PIP. So when somebody has PIP, I can bill the auto insurance directly. So I'm getting paid by the insurance companies. When attorneys get involved, is sometimes the insurance companies can either try and cut people off or they exhaust their benefits. So here, the the amount differs a little bit state to state, but here people have up to $20,000 to cover medical bills. If you were being taken away by an ambulance and spending a few days in the hospital, that goes pretty quickly. But for somebody who is just rear-ended in rush hour and has whiplash, 20,000 is more than enough. Like sometimes people do get to a point where they exhaust the 20,000 and then they can work with an attorney who will either go after the other person's insurance or they can sometimes get more out of their insurance plan. Kind of just depends. So a lot of the leads I get are actually from the chiropractors I work with primarily, but some others in the area as well.
So let's say somebody gets in an accident. Let's just average, I guess, like 20 to 30, you know, 15 to whatever. It's just like your basic fender bender. How, because assuming like obviously more intense accidents might be a little bit different. And this is me just thinking out loud because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about because this is not
Mhm.
my is. How long after an accident can a client come in and get the type of work that you do specifically for whiplash? Is there a period where you would tell them put ice on it for 3 days or something before coming in? Or what's that process with the severity of their accident?
And so first several years that I did this, the modalities I'm trained in are like neuromuscular therapy and myofascial release as the primary ones. And it's all kind of a mush of everything, right? So when I was primarily doing more deep neuromuscular therapy, I'd tell people to wait a few weeks until they're less inflamed and calm down. Seeing the chiropractor and even getting acupuncture right away can kind of help ease them out of that acute phase. Myofascial release and even lymphatic drainage can help a lot right in the beginning. I don't do lymphatic drainage, but that can definitely help with some of the inflammation from what I understand. And there are other techniques, and this is kind of what I'm getting into in the newer course that I'm creating. If somebody is really inflamed, because people can be in that acute phase for different lengths of time. Let's say the cookie cutter average is like 3 to 6 weeks before the inflammation starts getting down and the tissues kind of start hardening off. And it really starts, you can feel a really big difference in kind of how the injury progresses and what kind of technique you need to do to approach that. But there are things you can do in the beginning that help with that process. What I put together is all the different trainings I've done. I put it into one thing that I think can help people.
Comprehensive.
Comprehensive. That is the word I'm looking for. It kind of depends. If you know different techniques where you can use them kind of around injuries, you can see people early on. If you're really doing orthopedic neuromuscular therapy sort of techniques, you might want to wait a couple weeks until that initial inflammation goes down. Does that answer your question?
Yes. What specific forms or documentation are you required as the practitioner to have for this type of work that you do?
So if you're billing insurance, more of a comprehensive intake form for auto injury clients these days, I give to most people. But on top of that, you need a referral from a doctor. They need to prove that the massage is medically necessary, which usually that's just a letter from a chiropractor saying massage would be great for this person's injuries. And I recommend X amount of massages at the frequency that the therapist recommends, usually something like that. You need an MPI number, which is it takes 5 minutes to register. It's basically a social security number for tax purposes. And that's pretty much it. When you send your first bill into an insurance company, they're going to send you a W-9, but you only have to fill out one per insurance company you work with. I haven't filled out a new one in a long time because most people kind of have big name insurance companies, and then once in a while you get these kind of small offshoot ones that no one's ever heard of.
It can be really time consuming to put together these invoices and bills and notes and everything. About how much time are you spending on that? And do you delegate any of it?
Necessarily. So you do have a couple options. You can use something called a clearinghouse where you kind of just upload everything and then it's another company that does everything for you. If I had a bigger practice with multiple people working for me and had a ton of these people a week, I might consider something like that. But I mean, the most I might have going at a time is like 5, and that's after a snowy, icy winter where lots of people were in accidents. So I find it easier just to do it myself. I've kind of built a system to keep everything really organized and in one place that I teach. So once you're kind of used to what you need, I have a kind of copy of the invoice I can just plug information into with each new client. I keep everything on one document so I can just print it out. We have the clinic fax machine up front. So I just fax it in, lock it up in my office. And then I have a spreadsheet where I kind of write down or type in my computer when I'm actually sending things in so I can start following up in 30 days if I haven't heard anything.
You sound very type A. I love it.
I'm not exactly. I try to be. I've tried to channel my inner type A person when dealing with insurance because maybe that's what it takes.
I'm not type A, but my spreadsheet is.
Exactly.
Do you feel the reimbursement rates that the companies pay you is enough to sustain your entire practice and all the overhead?
Yeah. I bill 200 an hour for this or 50 per 15 minutes. So if I'm doing a 30-minute, it would be 100. It's definitely worth it. And then here they pay out what I bill. Once in kind of looking back over all the years I've done this, there's been a couple times, well, more of the denials I get is usually they're looking for more information. So I think we kind of mentioned the biggest mistake we ever made with this. When I first learned how to bill auto insurance, I had a friend that I went to school with teach me. She's like, don't even send them your notes. They don't care what the massage therapist has to say. They won't read it. Just send them an invoice and the referral and you're good. And I probably spent 2, 3 years doing that and got paid out thousands of dollars and never even gave them notes. But then I would get some denials where they're like, we can't pay this. We don't have your notes. So then I would end up doing things twice. And then finally I just started sending them all in because why do something twice?
So generate as needed, basically.
Exactly. Yep. So it is worth it. There was a couple times they tried to cut me a little bit short. And their reasoning was, well, this is what we pay based on what other therapists in your area charge. But I know lots of other massage therapists in Minnesota that do this and we're all billing 200 an hour. So I emailed them back and I'm like, no, this is what I billed and this is what everybody else charges. And the next day they would send me a check for the remainder. And that only happened twice. Every time you try to push back on them, usually they just end up paying because they don't want to have to deal with the attorneys and arbitration and everything.
Don't be presumptuous. I will fact check you. You have a lot of your clients whose cases are over and they're done with the treatment and everything to get the results that they're looking for. A lot of those turn into regular clients and come to you for private pay for other types of massage services.
There's had a few turn into regular clients. I would say not the majority of them, but some definitely have.
I'm sure you get some good referrals too, because we all know people who are having neck issues. I mean, obviously, whiplash can come from a bunch of different things, not just from a car accident. So I'm sure you're working with other types of neck injuries as well. And
Oh, yeah.
oh, at least 10 people
Mhm.
who are having pain in their neck at any given moment. So I'm sure that you're
Yeah.
hearing from those types of people because you're working with results too. You're very result oriented.
Oh, definitely. PIP or even MedPay for that matter is finite. You know, they only have and 20,000 might go a long way when you're just talking about massage and chiropractic. When people get into a really bad accident and it goes longer, we'll work with them like as long as they need. But I also try and be cognizant of if they are making a fast recovery, trying to taper off the frequency and everything and get them to a point where they don't feel they need me anymore, which is also so rewarding. Regular clients build a business, but at the same time, there is something really gratifying about having someone come in who's injured and so dysregulated and within 3 months seeing this big improvement that they can make. And I was a part of that.
Just who want to get started with doing this apart from obviously taking your class. The most common question is, what are the things I need to get started? What are the credentials? You'd mentioned an NPI number, obviously
Mhm.
massage license if we're in a licensed state. Those are a given. What is anything else that people should keep in mind as far as starting the process of wanting to go this route of accepting insurance?
Those are the big things you need to get started, like NPI number. You'll need a W-9 for each insurance company, but I wouldn't even bother sending it until you build that insurance company. I mean, you can go through and send one to all the major ones ahead of time, but again, why bother until you have to?
Below too on how to apply for NPI number and put that resource for people who are interested.
And check your individual state laws also, because things differ state to state. For example, of the 19 states that are personal injury protection, Florida is the only one where massage therapists can't bill PIP. So of the other 18, I'm pretty sure. I have a spreadsheet on my website that you can go download that does state by state, like if you're dealing with PIP, if you're dealing with MedPay, and then massage therapists even can. So there's two other states. I think they're at fault states where they say massage is covered, but chiropractor has to do it. If you ever seen that fun loophole.
Wait, what was
There's two other states. I think Nebraska and one I don't remember off the top of my head, so I don't want to like say something and be wrong. But there's two other states where auto insurance will cover massage if it's done by a chiropractor. So of 50 states, 47 out of 50 are allowed to bill auto insurance, either PIP or MedPay.
And once you do send off an invoice, what is the average turnaround time for getting reimbursement?
2 to 3 weeks on most of them. Minnesota and then a lot of other PIP states have like 30-day rule where they have to like bond within 30 days. So they either have to pay you or they have to ask for more information if they need it. And the reason that exists is because at day 31, you can start charging interest up to like 15% a year. So if they take 4 or 5 months to respond or something, then you can start adding interest onto it.
Okay, I've seen people online say sometimes it's 3 to 6 months, and now I see why.
This morning, I'm not gonna lie, I was like to the PI attorney that we mostly work with, what's with this 30-day rule? And he's like, because at 31 days, you can start charging 15% interest a year. Oh, okay, cool. Good to know.
And I did see that on Facebook at some point. You had commented, I use my business name, but my own social security number versus EIN number. What was that regarding? Your first claim or
Was
your
that always use my EIN number?
Okay, maybe that was somebody else. It's okay. I'll edit it
Yeah.
out.
Okay.
Yeah, my eyes are bleeding half the time reading through some of these posts. Have you ever had a full case rejected or anything?
Had one full case rejected. And it was kind of early on again when I was winging it and kind of took his learning process. Then the day, I think I only saw the client like 4 or 5 times anyway, so it wasn't a big loss. But what had happened was so a lot of the PIP client or a lot of the auto clients I get are actually Hispanic. I live in an area with a really big Hispanic population. We have two really great translators who work up front, and one of them has been here for 15 years and they're a very big word of mouth community. So a lot of people who end up in accents who are part of the Hispanic community will end up coming here because we have the translator and we know how to work with them. I only know how to say face up and face down and agua. But even with a good translator, I think there are some things that can get a little bit lost in translation. So I had this one, it was a woman and a daughter. They were from Colombia. Neither of them spoke very good English. What happened was the mother ended up in the ER twice. The first day it was because she had a cracked rib, which you have a cracked rib, you're not breathing right, like go to the ER, get checked out right away if there's any doubt in your mind. I think she ended up in our speculation, she ended up in the ER again with the same pain. And they basically gave her an x-ray and they're like, yeah, your rib is still cracked. It's the same thing. And sent her home and ERs are billing PIP like $9,000. So 2 visits to ER will swallow up all of that. I pretty much got exhausted on that. I didn't have any extra paperwork at the time to say if insurance doesn't pay, you're responsible for it, which again, early on, things I could have done. I wasn't going to take an old Colombian lady to court, not in this day and age. So I just let it go to karma. It made her feel better. It was 4 hours of my life. Now I know.
I actually started my first business due to being bilingual and building up my
Oh,
Hispanic
nice.
clientele. And that was really great being able. I was married to a guy from Mexico back in my early 20s. And oh man, the amount of construction workers I worked on was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I wanted to get into my first like real massage job being at a chiropractor's office because I wanted to fix people and I
Mhm.
really wanted to serve that population and help them out. I'd like getting paid cash. That was cool.
Nice, yeah. A lot of my Hispanic clients who like aren't PIP ones, like they all pay cash. If you ever want to come work here, I'm just throwing it out there. We could use a good Spanish speaking massage therapist who can say more than like boca abajo and boca arriba. I know my accent was really good.
Out of all the years that you've been doing massage therapy, what are some of the favorite classes that you have personally taken, especially relating to what it is that you do now? What's impacted you the most as far as your own education?
Oh, that's a good question. I've taken this weird plethora of classes because Minnesota's not a licensed state, so we don't have a CE requirement. So I just take classes that could relate to massage. And one of them was yoga teacher training. And I did mind body coaching and I did a mediumship class once. And I'm like, yeah, this is all related in some way or another. And honestly, I think the yoga teaching training, because I've done extra training with yoga nidra, somatic healing, it's so related to massage in many ways. You're learning how the body works from this different perspective. I think movement and stretching is obviously so important. But to have something specific, like I know how to teach this pose and I know how to get you into the right posture so you're getting the most out of it. I think that's really helped me a lot. So that mind body connection, just being able to help people breathe and like bring awareness through their body, I think helps a lot. And I've done that I've done guided meditations with some of my auto clients, and that can really help.
What has been some of your most lucrative cases? I don't know if you want to answer that on camera or not. I'm curious how long you saw the client, how much you got paid out, and what the insurance company was, or the circumstance surrounding the case. If you're okay with talking about it, maybe car insurance.
Oh, that's okay.
Edit that out too. But my car insurance is apparently expired. It got 1-800 numbers blowing up my phone.
Um, yeah, actually, I was thinking about this the other day because I meant to talk to the chiropractor and what were the circumstances surrounding this again? But one of my first cases, it wasn't auto specifically, but it was personal injury. So what happened is this woman, she actually became a client and still sees me now 7 years later, but she was outside of a grocery store and they were doing construction on the sidewalk and she tripped and fell, but they didn't have it clearly labeled. And she actually ended up looking up her shoulder. She got a concussion. It was a really bad trip and fall. Walks in the grocery store, a little bloody, has no idea what's going on. So I was billing insurance for her, but it was the the liability insurance for that grocery store, which I didn't know at the time. This was one of the first cases I took on. And I'm like, are you billing insurance? And she said, yes. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess I'm doing this now. I haven't had another one like that, but they ended up, I was seeing her for quite a while because it took with the post-concussion syndrome and everything, it took a while for those to heal. So I think I ended up seeing her a total of maybe 18 sessions, which is on the high end. Usually a lot of people I might see like
18 visits or 18 like 15-minute billing?
18-hour-long sessions over the course of, I mean, I should have checked the dates, maybe half a year or something. We tapered them off and the insurance paid out all of it. Never had to argue anything or even follow up. I would just send my invoices in. That might have been one that I wasn't even letting the notes in at the time, but always keep them because an attorney could hit you up later for them. But she ended up going to court with this grocery store. It turned into a whole lawsuit. I think about a year and a half later, I went into work one day and it's like before Christmas and there's a check sitting on my desk for $1,800. And I'm like,
Merry Christmas to me.
they run out there and he was so excited. He's like, yeah, sometimes when these cases will go to full arbitration, there's a big lawsuit involved. They cut the practitioners in. It's the one time it's ever happened to me. So I got paid out in full for 18 sessions and then plus got another $1,800 a year later, which is probably more than made up for the one person who didn't pay it. And I just sent it to Karma.
I remember whenever I was working at the chiropractor, it would just take forever to get paid. That's all they would do is bitch about it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I just didn't want to work at the chiro anymore because every time they would settle with the attorney, the first thing they would cut would be the massage portion and then get paid based on what he got paid, which of course, as we know now, as a more senior therapist is a no-no.
Yep.
An employee, not some weird misclassified contractor.
They want an employee, but they don't want to have to put in the work.
And then there's all the stuff about, I'm sure you get questions a lot and go over this in your course too, but billing codes and all of that. So, what can
Mhm.
students expect whenever they sign up for your course? What is that journey like for them?
So the auto insurance billing one, I go over how healthcare works with auto insurance and the difference between no fault states and at fault states. Everything you'd want to know. If you do have to work on lien, what to know. I think it's really important to trust the doctors that you're working with, and it's important to trust the attorneys because a primary attorney that we work with here, he would make sure that we all got taken care of. I've never even done a letter of protection with him or anything, and he's always gotten us paid pretty much always 100% if it gets to that point.
Yeah, it's a good reminder to ask qualifying questions to people before working with them.
Exactly.
If they're working within integrity and they do have good feedback. Yeah, check out these people online, man. Go to their Google reviews, BBB, whatever, not Yelp. But whatever you check your reviews on. Having personal referrals is pretty huge. How did you get those referrals? Were you doing a lot of BNI? Were you doing a lot of networking?
I did a lot of BNI in the beginning. Most of the auto referrals I have are from the clinic that I work in. I have a couple other chiropractors in the area that know I like working with auto patients and know that I'll take care of all the billing. There's actually a doctor of Chinese medicine nearby. That's really big here. I don't know how big it is in other states, but he's had a lot of auto clients as well. Maybe people who don't like getting adjusted, but they're okay with like acupuncture and that herbal approach to it that PIP will also cover. But because he is a doctor, he's able to like write the referral to get the massage as well. Those are the big ones. And then I have my website search engine optimized for it. So I do have a lot of people who just like Google massage for car accidents and then they like find me locally.
Whenever I was typing in your website, I'm like, wow, this is what clients would type in on Google in order to find somebody. And you just were like, this would make a great URL, and it did.
Oh yeah. I hacked the SEO thing a few years ago. I think during COVID, I learned a blog and learned how all that stuff works. When I started this, I'm like, massage for car accidents.
What other things would you leave massage therapists with as far as this topic goes? Because it can be so overwhelming to even think about getting started with something like this. But it seems like once people do, especially if they take some of the tips that you just gave us, and if they go to BNI, it's pretty much guaranteed to keep their books full. That's what it
Yeah,
sounds like.
exactly. It's an extra kind of piece of marketing. Like I said, I don't do my whole practice on it, but it is my specialty. So I will have a few going at once. And it does tend to ebb and flow with the seasons a little bit. I'm in a very wintry state that ice is no joke. So from about November through April, I get a lot of these. And sometimes through the summer, not as much. But
What? Mine, if I was living back in Louisiana, it would be Mardi Gras season from all the beads on the neck and people doing dumb shit at parades.
whiplash from these beads.
I can see how it would be seasonal as well,
Yeah.
especially if you're living in a state like Austin or Detroit that has nonstop road construction 24/7 and people are always crashing into each other.
Mm.
I can see how it would be more lucrative in one area than another as well.
So I was typing kind of what he wrote on a Google Doc, just in case there's any good advice here. He's been doing this for 20 some years. He's told me time and time again, make sure you trust the attorneys and make sure you trust the client. If you get a bad vibe from a client, I wouldn't deal with insurance if you didn't also trust the client. You can always say no to people, and definitely attorneys. There are shady attorneys out there. So if you get a bad vibe from the attorney, you can choose not to work with them. You can also do something called a letter of protection, which basically said if you are going to on lien or arbitration or whatever, you have a letter that's like, these are my rates. You have to protect them. You have the attorney and the client sign it. The hard part with it is that, like, and I'm pretty sure this would work the same nationally, but as far as lawyers ethical board goes, I don't know, as the bar, I guess, they tell them that ethically they have to do whatever the client says. So if the lawsuit settles and the client's like, send me all the money, they have to do that even if they did sign this letter of protection, and you're dealing with trying to sue the client and take them to court. Not that, again, that's why trust the client too. If you get a shady vibe from the client that they're just going to take this money and run out of state, then nothing you can do. I've never actually experienced that. We were just kind of talking hypothetically.
So I wanted to show people a little sneak peek to your website and show them what they can expect whenever they visit. Love your website. It's laid out really well, by the way. This is a
Oh,
good
yeah.
example for other massage therapists for landing pages. This looks really great. Definitely go add yourself to her list. We're going to put all the links below in the show notes as well, so everybody can click on it. Of course, the QR code is also on the screen, but definitely give the website a visit. Check out.
It's a lucrative niche. I have a friend who's an acupuncturist who specializes in this work too. Like we've known each other since like long before we did this, and she kind of works in a different part of town. But we got together one day and we're like, yeah, I don't want to say that's always easy, or I don't want to like sugarcoat it and be like, if you have everything lined up perfectly, you're never going to have to make a call to insurance, because it's a confusing system by design. But in my course, I give you like an easy way to like keep track of things and ideas for like how to follow up and when to follow up. And I can help you. There's a community on there. And also, I'm available on social media. I'm happy to help people through the process. If you do have to appeal something, I'm happy to try and interpret things for you or give you a script or tell you what to say. But it is, at the end of the day, looking back on the 7 years, I'm like, it's definitely a more lucrative niche. I'm really happy I got into it. And I will say, even if you can't bill insurance or don't want to bill insurance, I have that other course I'm putting out here in the next couple weeks. I don't know when this will actually air, so I don't want to put timing on there. But it's how to work with people who've been in car accidents, because anybody can be in a car accident. It's hardly niche knowledge. You could have your client base and people who regularly see you, and then suddenly one of them's in an accident. Now they're not responding the same way to massage, and their needs have changed for the next few months. So how do you approach that versus being like, oh, I don't want to do this, I'm sending them to someone else?
I had actually one client back home in Louisiana who saw me for a while, and she saw me twice a week for 45 minutes. I remember after a few months, she said, hey, actually, I came and saw you because I had a car accident. Is there any way you can send me some sort of invoice or something? And I didn't have a software system or anything that showed how many times she came and saw me. So I had to generate everything by hand. Luckily, the invoice was enough for the attorney to work it out with her, because I told her, this is all I can provide you. I can't do anything else because I've never done this before, but I can give soap notes. And I remember freaking out about it and thinking, oh, man, I don't know if I could do this full time.
That's something else I teach in my courses. I don't remember if I said this, kind of just a system for keeping track of things to make it so you don't have
Your time.
documents on all corners of your office. How to put it all in one place.
Your course sounds really cohesive, really comprehensive. It sounds like it's really great for start to finish and dip your toes in. If I were a fix it therapist, I would hands down take your course. I do the somatic style body work, but they still got neck pain. I won't be billing insurance anytime soon, but for the therapists that are interested, you definitely want to check
Mhm.
it out, get started, get info. Adrienne's amazing. Her content's great. Her social media is great. I love her videos. You have some great information, very informative, and you're just so generous with your knowledge. And I really appreciate that.
I appreciate that.
You have such a warm and welcoming energy.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I like yours too. And I appreciate you sharing the things I make on your group and all of that.
We're all a community, and I don't do a lot of prenatal massage. I don't do a lot of insurance building. I haven't tried bamboo massage yet. There's so many things that I haven't learned yet that I have no idea about, and then I can't wait to take. I'd love to take Sarga and the aerial Atsu one day.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's, and they are in this case, but I don't care if something is accredited for CE because I'm apart from my rambling. And speaking of CE credits, I know that's one question our audience is going to ask. Does your course come with CE credits currently?
I'm in the process of getting it approved. I need
Yay.
a couple more like feedback forms back from, if you took it and haven't sent me one, please send me one. But I'm working on that process. My
Yeah.
goal is to be like an approved provider soon.
Yes. And anyone who's creating a course, it definitely is a process. It takes sometimes 3 to 4 months to hear back from the board. You have to format it in the way that they want you to. So this community has
Exactly.
been just having people like you in it who have their zone of genius, all these amazing niches. It's just incredible being able to all connect with each other and learn from each other.
Mhm.
This is kind of a lonely industry and it doesn't have to be.
I feel I've been doing this 10 years. I'm still learning so much about the body and even like the energy and like what causes pain and what relieves pain and this, that, and other thing is I could stay in this forever and like still never feel like I know everything. But I'll keep trying.
It's like a new game of Indiana Jones and Sherlock Holmes with every client, just figuring them out and what their unique needs are and what the mystery is and how to solve it. It's pretty fun. I really
Yep.
truly we have the best career ever. We're never going to be replaced by robots. They're trying.
That's not going to happen. No. Can't replace actual human touch.
So you cannot. Adrienne, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate your generous wealth of knowledge and everything and answering some of these common questions that people tend to have about insurance billing because like me, I thought it would be super intimidating. And once you broke it down, it's just a step-by-step process like everything else. I think we tend to worry about the all the wrong things and forget that it doesn't have to be nearly as hard as what we're making it.
Exactly. You kind of just have to start and see how it goes. And I give you a roadmap and I can help you along the process. But if I could start and wing it in the beginning and just make it up as I go, then you can start too.
I always say teachers fuck up and make all the mistakes first so their students don't have to. Yes, thank you so much, Adrian. We're going to leave the links and everything down below and we'll have you on again soon. We'll go through some of the comments that people are writing about injury and stuff and maybe go through some of those and give some really great info for some of our audience who may not be on Facebook anymore.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was nice to talk to you in real life. Thank you so much.